I got stuff for you.
Holy moly. I need to get some snakes and release them around my house.
But they love eating people. They love eating kids.
These guys are the scientists of the supernatural, lecturers leaving lessons for inquiring laymen. They are applying the scientific method to a world that baffles science. They are the cryptids of the corn.
Every day that you open your mouth,
I know, right?
I'm more convinced that you're abducted by aliens.
No.
And it just stood up. I mean, it just like kept going and going. And she goes, what the?
These are idiots.
I was laughing reading this because I already knew how you would feel.
Idiot. What part of the story fits your balloon?
Well,
This isn't a UFO. But who else has big black wings and red eyes?
Batman.
Well, Mothman.
Oh, yeah, Mothman.
Well, everyone, I think we know exactly what it is. So say it all with me. It was the sandhill crane.
Would you try it?
No.
You wouldn't eat it?
No.
Why?
Because they're probably toxic. There'd be a lot of poop in my pants. Seen a 6-foot alligator go swinging through the air and slam into a tree. Welcome back to Cryptids of the Corn podcast. I am the great and powerful Mystery.
You're scaring me. I'm Jake135.
I was summoning something. I scared myself.
Oh, what were you summoning?
I don't know.
Confidence?
The deeper mystery.
I don't want to meet him.
You can tell by the level of intoxication I hit by how close I get to the mic.
You're like our president when he's telling a really important secret. Like, the cost for American barbecue went down for pennies.
What?
I don't know. I don't know.
We're not alone tonight.
That's right. We have a special guest on the show.
I say tonight because we're recording it at night, but it comes out on Wednesday morning at midnight.
So it's at
I
night.
guess it's night, technically. Yeah. But midnight's kind of what turns into morning, right?
I guess it does.
I don't know. We're always idiots. Mm-hmm. So, who are we joined by?
We are joined by a longtime listener of the show, starting his new podcast called... I'm letting you have this one before I say his name.
The Drunken Cryptid.
It felt fitting
Is
for
it
you to say.
Cryptid or Cryptids? Now I'm bad.
Cryptids.
Cryptids.
The Drunken
Plural.
Cryptids. We're joined by Matthew Orton, host of the Drunken Cryptids podcast.
What's up?
Welcome, Matthew. Woo!
Woo!
Whoa.
Yay, Matthew!
Hey, Matthew. So, I got to publicly apologize to Matthew before we get rocking and rolling here.
Publicly, huh?
Well, Matthew, when I first ended up, me and Emily ended up at Ronald McDonald House, literally, when the twins were trying to come early.
Yep.
Twins are doing great, everybody, just so everybody knows. But when they were first trying to come early, we didn't have a backlog build up yet.
Of episodes, yeah, yes.
So I reached out to some people that I knew a little more personally and was like, hey, I need some help getting some stuff backlog built just so... I don't know how long we'll be up here. It was 10 weeks.
Yeah, it was a long time.
So...
Yeah, you were in there for a long time.
Matthew's one of the guys, the first one we ever did in Ronald McDonald House. And it's probably an amazing interview. The single worst quality piece of audio ever recorded.
Worse than episode 1?
Yes.
Ooh.
Because the Ronald McDonald Wi-Fi was atrocious.
Yeah,
It's
it was
nothing
rough.
on Matthew's end.
No, it was ours.
And it was because I was trying to do it with old equipment and piecemealed it together, and it just didn't work. And the Wi-Fi was just would drop. So when I was editing it, there'd be 2.5 minute gaps that where me and you were talking.
Yeah.
And there's just nothing there, and I'm like, all right,
This ain't good.
this is bad.
So we're doing a reprieve. A redo.
A redo.
So super excited to have you back on. Before we get rocking and rolling into your amazing encounters, first off, thank you for your service.
Not a problem. Thank you.
Second off, tell everybody about your show, where to listen to you, and we kind of talked about off air. There's some new stuff probably coming in the next couple weeks.
Yeah. All right. I appreciate that. Drunken Cryptids. The name came in a bar, surprisingly enough, like most great things do. And it came out during the pandemic. We're not going to mention the C word, but it came out during the pandemic. Things were opening up. People were slowly coming out, and sitting at a bar, started telling stories about cryptids and paranormal, and had this really crazy encounter at Fort Hood. And we call it the AHA story. So everybody always be like, hey, you know, Matthew, tell them the AHA story. So we did this, and it started like a little thing at the bar. We'd all be hanging out in the corner and be talking. So sometime down the road, I got inspired by I've had a lifetime full of paranormal encounters, haunted houses. I mean, shadow people, which we talked a little bit about last time, if you remember. Yep. So shadow people encounters, crazy stuff, weird things, and drinking and talking. And I said, I want to do a podcast. And somebody made the suggestion. They're like, hey, Matthew, you got a pretty good voice. You should do a podcast.
Yeah.
And so I'd been stewing around the idea, and I listened to one of y'all's episodes actually, and y'all talked, and you were trying to help. So you were talking about somebody trying to help them get started, and you had another guest on, and they said, if anybody wants to get a podcast going, get a name and then own the name before you do anything else. Own that name, because they were going to go with another name. Then they found out that somebody else already had it, and they had to go back and change it. So we were getting ready to play trivia. I love bar trivia. I love that weird, useless information. And we had a small group of us hanging out, and the person that's running the trivia, they came over and said, we need a team name. And I went, we're the Drunken Cryptids. And I went, that's the podcast name.
That's the name. Yes. When
So
you know.
my producer, one of the guys that was pushing me hard to do this, he was really wanting to get into the podcasting world. So, and he was pushing me hard to be the front guy. And again, we're sitting around my, fire pit out the backyard. And I said, all right, screw it, let's do it. I said, he goes, what do you want to name it? I said, Drunken Cryptids. And 30 seconds later, he said, you own Drunken Cryptids. Nobody has that domain. It's all yours.
Nice.
So it's drunkencryptids.com. So I own the domain for drunkencryptids.com. And we started off small, doing just, throwing it out there on YouTube. I've got about 10 episodes up right now on YouTube. I've got 2 backlogged right now that I'm working on. And we hit a hard patch back in April. It was a really tough month for us. So unfortunately, Maddie passed away and left a huge hole in my little team that I have, support pushing me to do this. And we're just now getting it filled back up again. And we're getting ready to take off. I'm doing a paranormal expo here in Little Rock coming up in October. So, which is going to be fun. I get to be a vendor for that. They reached out to us as well. Arkansas is a small area, so pretty much everybody's going to hear about everybody. And I've actually got bars now that put my stickers up inside their bar.
That's
Nice.
awesome.
Yeah.
We don't even have that.
No, we don't.
And you own a bar.
I have our stickers up there. I have some stickers.
If you want, I'll send you one of mine, another one, and you can put it up in your bar.
There we go. I'll do it.
I'm a little mad. We don't have... I'm a little irritated.
I got some advertising up there.
No,
But it's kind of cool because I'll go to places
absolutely.
now, and I'll have people look at me and say, "Hey, aren't you the podcast guy?"
Yeah.
So this here's locally. I've got a good little following. I launched on it. I have a TikTok channel. I was told to do TikTok, and I swore I would never do. I'm almost 50. I turned 50 in a year, and I was like, I don't need a TikTok. I know what I mean?
Right.
I don't need one. I got a good little following on TikTok, and I got a small following on Facebook and on YouTube. And getting ready to launch, on Spotify and all the other YouTube, podcast channels that are out there. And it's just a slow process, just trying to slowly build it on up and having fun with it and goofing off. And, I've got some really neat interviews I've done. I've got a great episode of a chupacabra experience somebody had here in Arkansas. I had a chance to just talk with a medium. So my last episode to drop was with a medium. And we talked a little bit about my producer, and right there at the end, he had a message from him, and it was just a pretty emotional ending. And for that episode, it was pretty good.
I'm looking forward to that. Yeah.
No, that is truly amazing, and to have the support you have already super early in it is just truly is just amazing as far as that.
It's a good sign, I think.
I mean, our little joke is it took us a year to get 30 listeners ish. It took us a year to get 300 downloads.
Yeah, probably almost.
It was almost like at the year mark hit 300 downloads.
Okay.
And then it took us 3 years or 2.5 years to get the 1.5 million.
Yeah. Happens fast.
So it is when you get that much more support that early, already that's telling you that's an amazing thing that's happening, locally and stuff like that.
I'm pretty excited about it. I mean, there's some other local podcasts. I see them on Facebook, and they're pretty active, and they do a lot as well. And I'm not trying to compete with any of them. I want everybody who's in our field with our passions about it to succeed, as much as possible. And I've got a good friend of mine who's a DJ here who wants to help me come up with a really good intro with his voice. But yet he also has an experience he wants to talk about too. So I want to try and tie them both in.
Yeah. And
me and him trying to get our schedules together for the episode has just been crazy because I have him all over the place. But so through the show, what I'm trying to do is I want to get out there more, do some more field work, and I have to be careful. So I'm actually creating. So the ultimate goal for Drunken Cryptids is not only have the podcast going, but I want to have a cryptid team and then a paranormal team.
Okay.
So, sightings for cryptids, go investigate. Sightings on paranormal or complaints, haunted, whatever, go investigate. So try and do a combination of everything and use the podcast as the main hub for it. And then also go out. I've had, you talked on my Facebook Live. I got people wanting me to go up this fall to go look for the Arkansas Howler.
Ooh,
yeah, that'd be awesome.
That would be sweet.
Yeah. Yep. And you were talking about the centipede.
The Ozark giant killer.
The Ozark.
Yep.
Yep. So, and my little boy is fascinated with bugs. And I was telling him about that episode. The giant centipede, and he's 6, and he swears up and down he's going to go up there with us and go find this thing.
Did he tell you it's not a bug?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Good. I figured he did.
That's pretty funny.
He did. My little boy is so bug smart. I mean, he's 6. He's 6. He doesn't read, seed, spot, run. He reads books on bugs.
Yep.
And
done that.
So we found a ladybug spider this weekend on Father's Day.
Really? That's awesome.
He was so excited. He was jumping up and down, and he's like, "Daddy, this is so rare. This is so rare." So we've talked before, so how important my kids are to me.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And everything. So that's why I try and when I'm doing these so they heard my episode on Sasquatch Chronicles about what we'll talk about here a little bit. And my little girl was fascinated with it to where she wanted to do an episode, and we talked about the Crescent Hotel here in Arkansas. And she's great. She's 10, and she will go through and try and find stuff. And now she wants to talk about the Ozark Howler. She found that on YouTube because it has to do with Arkansas. So she's totally fascinated. But I have a theory about the Ozark Howler anyway. So
Ooh.
A really drunk bear.
A really drunk bear. I think it's probably, I'm going to go with, actually, I'm not going to go with the drunk bear. I'm going to go, and not a cocaine bear. It's Arkansas, so it might be a meth bear.
Meth bear.
What's funny is I don't even remember what we said for that episode.
What?
We did the Ozark Howler.
Yeah. Oh, what we said it was?
Yeah. Forever ago.
Was that
I don't even remember. Was that a Patreon one?
Episode 7 or something like that. No, it was early. Because it was Mike from Cryptid HQ sponsored an episode.
Oh, okay. Shoot, I don't even remember.
Or was that the Wampus Cat?
Could have been the Wampus Cat too.
Have we not done an Ozark Howler episode? And I've always thought we did.
I think we have. I'm pretty sure we have. It sounds very familiar.
The problem is
we've done the Ozark Howler because it's been on the tournament 2 years in a row.
Are you sure? No, because the competition you guys did was on the there was a centipede. The giant centipede or millipede that's up there.
Got it right there. So.
Yep.
No,
it's on here. It's his Ozark Howler versus the Ozark
unless
giant
Ralph
centipede.
messed up too, which is possible. He only counts birds for a living.
Ah, that's right. Could be a Ralph. This may be a Ralph issue.
I don't even know Ralph still listens to our podcast, but got married or is getting married, all that crap.
I hope he does. We've been referencing him for the past 4 months.
No, I don't know. Have we not done one?
I think we have.
It may be a Patreon episode. We've done 150 Patreon episodes and 315 public episodes.
Yeah, check it
out.
out.
I don't remember you guys doing. I don't remember hearing an Ozark Howler episode out of you guys.
Well, maybe.
It could be a Patreon episode.
It's hard to remember everything.
Well,
I
yeah.
don't even remember what I did last week.
Yeah. But no, so let's hear about this encounter.
Yeah, so let's get down to it, and I'm ready for it.
Are you? No, you're
All
not.
right.
I know you're not.
I've been ready.
No, you're not.
All right, so picture the scene. Sicily, 1912. No, I'm kidding.
Okay, yeah, let me get there. Hold on. All right.
Did you? Yeah. So I don't know who shared that to the Facebook page earlier. Was it Chris?
I didn't see it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know what you're
that's
talking
what
about.
he's referencing. Chris, I think, shared the picture of Archduke Ferdinand's assassination and said mystery, and Jay cloned something arguing about it.
Oh, I have no idea.
It just made me laugh because he's World War. I don't know. World War
All
I.
right. So, okay,
Continue.
Sicily.
Sorry.
No, you're Sicily, 1912. No.
Yeah.
All right, real quick, I'll give you a little background. Grew up in Utah, and we had a cabin 30 miles as a crow flies from the ranch that should not be spoken of. But if you know Star Wars and, Luke, then you have an idea what I'm talking about. And I didn't realize how close to that area as an adult when the show came out that we were until my dad told me. He's like, yeah, the cabin's like 30 miles away as a crow flies. And I was like, oh, all right. So we were in the creepy area. And we had a whole bunch of, weird encounters up there in the Uintas, tree knocks, stuff like that. We thought it was woodpeckers as a kid. You're not paying attention. And, the basic stuff. Actually, I think I have a handprint. I don't know if I did send it to you, didn't I? The picture of the handprint?
I don't remember.
I'll resend it to you again. Okay. So, yeah, because I think we caught a handprint in 1992 at the basin of Hellhole Lake, which is out there in the Uintas. It's a gorgeous glacier-fed lake. But yeah, it was the only print around, and my mom swore up and down that it was a footprint. It looked like it was the ball of his foot. When you sprint, you just run on your feet. And then, of course, when you're into this stuff, you're constantly researching. And I started hearing about the spider crawl.
Yeah.
And it clicked one day, and I was like, wait a minute, I got that picture. And that never looked to me like a foot. So looking at it again, it almost looks like it's his hand in this position. You can see where it might have been pushed up on in, and the thumb is going to be a little bit closer over to here, but it's not as imprinted in. So it looks like his thumb is up, like we would go down.
Yeah.
But our whole entire thumb's not going to be, our weight's going to go more to our hand than it is our thumb.
Yeah.
So in the picture, and I'll send it to you again, you can kind of see, I'll have you take a look at it and get your opinion on it. Because there's no other tracks. That was the only track mark in this field that's probably about 100 meters square. So it was a pretty neat experience on that one. So growing on up, I joined the Army in 1993 and was having a great career, got promoted quick, went through the infantry, got stationed at Fort Hood in 99 when I left Korea. And in 2002, the world was getting quite interesting, if you remember your history a little bit for us.
A little bit.
And yep. So my unit was throwing together a quick gunnery. So for the mechanized guys who ride the Bradleys and they control the Bradleys, it's an armored truck vehicle, and they have infantry that is in the back. They have to be qualified on the weapon system in there, same as a tank crew has to.
Okay.
And not considered deployable. Your unit's not deployable until all your track crews are certified in a gunnery. So like qualifying with your weapon, you have to know your weapon and shoot targets. Same thing with every other piece of equipment in the military, whether it be tank, artillery, helicopters, airplanes, all of it. You have to be, certified and trained up to be deployable. So they hastily threw together a quick gunnery, and they set up an ammunition holding area in North Fort Hood. And it was a gunnery range in North Fort Hood. And I'd been there, Fort Hood, now for about 3 years. And I'd never been in this area of Fort Hood to train in, nothing at all. Fort Hood's a giant military installation. It's bigger than most people think it is. I mean, you could almost drive an hour through it.
Oh, wow. What state is Fort Hood in again?
Just looking up.
Texas.
Texas. That's what I thought. Okay.
Fort Hood, Texas.
Yep.
They just changed the name, and I refuse to acknowledge the new name, so I will always stick with Fort Hood.
Fort Hood. I like it.
Cavaris?
The what?
The new name, it's stupid.
The what? Huh? No, it's Fort Hood.
Yeah, it's Fort Hood.
Yep, it's Fort Hood. It's Fort Hood. It's Fort Hood. It'll always be Fort Hood. But yeah, Fort Hood in itself is kind of a weird, odd place anyways. There's a lot of mystery about it for whatever reason. And the past 10 years, they've had a lot of
Murders?
Murders, yeah. I mean, if you're looking it up right now, you're probably going to see pop off right off the bat. Soldier murdered, soldier missing.
Wow.
Is murders. When you Google it, because I was trying to see the size of it.
You think that's why they changed the name?
Yeah, probably.
No.
For the Google.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
No, that's for another show.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
No,
Ooh.
Yeah, that's for another show. It has to do with the shack.
No idea what you're talking about.
Maybe we'll
I
talk
know.
to your... yeah, well, never mind.
340 square miles.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
That's a state.
Now, isn't Fort Hood, too, where, like, they... isn't that where the training, like, when you first get in, is that one of the places you go to like, for
No.
training? Oh, it's not? Okay.
No, so they have bases already set up for for training. So Fort Benning, Fort Lindenwood, Fort Bliss. It used to be Fort Bliss. So I got out in 2004. So they may have changed.
Okay.
But I went to Fort Benning. So Fort Benning for me. So my basic. So normally people go to their basic training, which is the basics of being a soldier.
Yes.
And then you move on to another school, which is called AIT, Advanced Individual Training, and that's going to be like what your job's going to be, whether it's going to be infantry, or you're going to be a tank guy, or you're going to be a cook or a clerk, or do this or do that, whatever job, fueler, transportation, whatever. And then you go to another base for that school.
Gotcha.
So Fort Benning, that's the home of the infantry. So my basic training wasn't 8 weeks long. It was 16 weeks long.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because it's combined training OSET.
Yep.
So started basic training with the same drill sergeants, went all the way through. And all we got for our graduate, when they said, okay, you're made it, you're now in AIT, we got a 24-hour pass. That was it. They go outpost for 24 hours, and then we got smoked when we got back. Yeah, it was great.
Wonderful.
Yep. And that was in July of the lovely Fort Benning, Georgia. The humidity was wonderful.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. July in Georgia.
And being a kid from Utah and going to Georgia in the summertime was not a fun experience. I remember just talking on the phone, the payphone, to my parents and just sweating from the humidity. Like, this is nuts. I don't know what I did. I have no idea what decision I made. But yeah, so I ended up, Fort Hood, 02, and so the unit was pushing to do a whole bunch of stuff. We weren't done. We kind of, a lot of us read the writing on the wall, what was about to take place. So the gunnery thing, they started up, and we had an EIB site going, and EIB stands for Expert Infantryman Badge. And it's a badge you earn as an infantry soldier, and you have to go through 4 days of rigorous testing to earn this badge. It's involving everything from weapon systems that the infantry deal with, basic infantry skills, land navigation, day and night land navigation. Yeah, I mean, you have to qualify expert with your weapon. You have to, get a certain score on your PT's test. You have to do so much to earn this badge within 4 days. Go through all these stations, and you can fail the station and we call it a no-go. You get a no-go and then retest and pass it, and you're okay. But if you get 3 of those, you're out. 3 strikes and you're out. Or if you fail a station, you get a no-go, and then test again and get a second no-go, now you're out.
Okay.
So, it's a really hard badge to earn. It really is. I mean, a lot of folks don't earn it the first time. I did not my first time going through it. I was proud, excited. I survived day 1, and I made it halfway through day 2, and I got my 3rd and final no-go, and I was defeated. Little Private Orton was just defeated. I was walking back to my unit, carrying my weapon by the barrel, dragging the buttstock behind me. I mean,
kicking dust along the way, like, oh.
Yep, but I finally did. I got my EIB in '98 in Korea. So, as an NCO, I was pretty proud about that. And so, being an EIB holder, when your unit does the EIB testing, you're considered cadre. So they assign you a lane, and you have to set your lane up, be an expert on your lane. So when people come through the test, you can grade them and go forth and all that. So with the gunnery going on, the EIB going on, we were short-staffed on NCOs for details. And so they thought, we'll just grab Sergeant Norton and throw him out there on this AHA detail, which is you sit there for 24 hours and you wash ammunition for 24 hours.
Okay. Straight.
That's all you do. Yep, you're outside. Yep. You're sitting outside. Yep, you're out there. You're out. I mean, And the site they had selected for the AHA was pretty far away, actually, from where they were doing gunnery at. So where you could, at night, you could barely hear the Bradleys firing. There's like boom, 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 boom. There'll be a slight sound to that. So we were pretty far away from there. And how the rotation worked was you did 24 on at the site, 24 hours off of duty for being on for 24. And then the third day, you would do your regular duties at your unit. And for me, that was at the EIB site. And then day 4, you're back on guard.
Okay. For another 24 hours?
Yep.
Okay.
For another 24 hours. So there's 3 NCOs that, there's me, Sergeant M, and I can't remember who the other guy was. So I'm not going to use anybody's names real quick. But I came up with some good nicknames for my soldiers, and we'll catch that one here in a second. So the first rotation I did, I remember I got out there. We had no radio to talk to anybody battalion. We had nothing to talk with. We had no weapon. When you are guarding ammunition out there, you're technically supposed to have a weapon, 5 rounds in it. You're supposed to have a radio to be able to communicate, do this. So I remember when I got there to sign, I relieved Sergeant M. I said, okay, am I signing for the radio? Where's the weapon at? And he said, oh, we don't have that. I was like, what? He goes, yeah, we're just sitting here to watch it. And I was like, oh. And I considered my unit at the time like National Lampoon Plays Army.
Okay.
And so I don't want to mention the unit at all because, there's some lovers of it and they'll be out there like going, oh. But the guys I served with, they're going to know. They already know. So we're all on the same page. But so first 24 hours there, nothing happened. It's August. It's Texas. It's hotter than hell. It was miserable. Got off work, came back. A couple days later, when I went out there to relieve Sergeant M, I remember very well he had bags under his eyes. Like they didn't sleep at all. And he looked tired. He looked exhausted. And I asked him, I said, did you not sleep? And he was like, no, man, we had coyotes coming in here all night long. And so I said, coyotes? And he said, yeah. And I was like, well, all right. Well, coyotes out there in the field with us isn't unusual because wherever soldiers go, we're going to leave trash behind.
Yeah.
They're not going to admit that, but we do. We will leave trash behind. They're going to leave MRE pieces behind, MRE cracker, food behind. So they're going to come behind you. The coyotes always do, and they're going to clean up. And then they get brave, and they know you're not going to shoot them. So they get braver and braver and braver. So they're used to having us out there in the training areas. So having the coyotes out there was, all right, no big deal. All right. So he had coyotes all night long. And he said they had to sleep in the bed of his pickup truck. That's how bad they were.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, wow. All right. So, him and his guards leave. And I had 2 soldiers, and I'm going to call them D.B. Crockett and Daniel Boone. All right. So you're chuckling already. So I had D.B. Crockett and Daniel Boone with me. And these kids were in another platoon in my company, so I'd never worked with them, didn't train with them, so I didn't know them from Adam.
Okay.
All right, so we get set up and, get cozy under the camo net. And how it was set up, the site was, so we call paved roads in the military a hardball.
Okay.
So if it's a paved road or a concrete road, it's a hardball, and that's where your wheeled vehicles go down as a hardball. Dirt roads, we call those tank trails because your tracked vehicles are going to travel down those because they're not going to tear up the road.
Right.
So out there on military installations, you'll see the hardball running out to the training areas. You'll see the tank trail running parallel to it.
Okay.
And so that's where the tracked vehicles to run through. And then they'll cut off the left or right. There'll be areas that cross if they have to go to the right or to a training area, and then that's the area that you're going to be training in for the duration of your area. It's a huge area. Obviously, you just looked it up. So I had to actually map myself out for my truck to get out to the site because I'd never been there before and use a map to find it to make sure that I got to it. It was about 400 meters, which is about 4 football fields away from the hardball. And it was down a small tank trail. As you came down the tank trail, you had trees at first on the left and the right. And then onto your right, it opened up into a field with heavy trees on the left. And they had a little berm. And a berm is pretty much like a dirt mound. It sits up generally probably about chest to head high.
Okay.
on an average person. It's just a giant mound of dirt.
Right.
Yeah. So this dirt berm starts up and slowly slopes gradually down to almost nothing. And they had the ammunition set up well on the other side of that. They had a camel net for the shade for us at the low side of it, to where it was maybe a foot high at this point as it gradually slopes down. And a little spot for us to park our vehicles. Now in the field area, though, there was a heavily wooded area that was right across from us where we were set up at with the camo net, and they had come through and cleared out through the trees for the power lines.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I'm looking at, so there's the power line. I call it an alley.
Yeah, where they cut it down so the lines can go through. Yeah.
It's like, to me, it was like a perfect straight alley going through the woods.
Yep.
So we got the ammunition here set up. We got this wide open field that we're in, chilling out under a camo net, and we are just relaxing and bored. It was around payday. It had to be either on payday or after payday, because I didn't want to eat MREs. And being the NCOIC at the yard site, I can't leave. I have to be there. I have to stay. So I asked one of the guys if they wanted to go run the Burger King on main post, which was about 40 minutes away, get some Whoppers, and come back, and I would buy everybody Whoppers. With me and two other guards, so it wasn't a party. But one kid said, yeah. David Crocker goes, yeah, hey, Sarn, I'll take my car. I'll drive down there and get it. So I gave him $20 to go buy some Whoppers.
Nice.
Well, being in the infantry, right, I didn't say we were smart either. So he came back with $20 worth of Whoppers.
Oh, he probably got to use it all.
He used it all. So I was expecting change. I was like, dude, it's $20. And,
Wait.
$20 was a lot of money.
I was going to say that. This is 02. Yeah. That's a lot of Whoppers.
Yeah. I mean, I remember $20 in gas. You're like, oh, man, thanks, man. Fill my truck up.
Yeah.
Ton of Whoppers. So we sat there and we pigged out. And infantry soldiers out in the field, board, will discuss just a handful of topics. It's going to be women, alcohol, religion, paranormal, and home.
Okay.
And then it rotates back through.
Yes. Okay. That's awesome.
That is it. Also, every infantry soldier, for whatever reason, when they're out in the field and in training and they get bored, they turn into Davy Crockett and Daniel Boone.
Okay.
They make spears. They make bows and arrows. They get creative. I love the infantry. I love the infantry. Most creative group you could ever. I mean, they're awesome. So David Crockett and Daniel Boone are, they're having their own little conversation. I'm reading a book. That was my hobby. Still is. I love to read. So I'm sitting there in the shade, reading a book, snacking on Pringles, relaxing, and they came up with the idea because they heard Sergeant M talk about the coyotes, and they're like, "Hey, Sergeant, can we go make traps for the coyotes with the Whoppers that we're not eating?" And again, like I said, they turned into David Crockett and Daniel Boone. So I'm sure, go ahead. Take the 5 Whoppers, knock yourselves out, go make some traps. Are they going to trap anything? No. Again, God bless the infantry. Yeah. No.
Right. There's limitations.
So these guys spent probably about an hour and a half out past the where the ammunition was at, setting up these traps with these Whoppers, and they're all excited. They're gonna catch themselves a coyote. And I remember I asked a question too. I was like, okay, guys, so you set the traps. What are you gonna do if you catch one?
Right. What's the plan after that?
Yeah, what's the plan after that, guys? And the answer I got was pretty much if you asked your kid that blank look. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't know.
Exactly. I don't know, Czar. So that was my big joke there for the rest of the day. So we move in the evening, and the sun sets late in the summertime. We all know that. Sun was going down, still hot. It's just past dusk, so it's dark, but it's not completely dark yet. You know what I'm talking about? Still had that little bit of twilight light going on. Mm-hmm. And I had cracked open my chem light, which everybody calls glow sticks. You crack them open, shake them, and they turn green or different colors.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, we call them chem lights. And so I had a chem light sitting there beside me, had my can of Pringles. I had my Powerade, reading my book, and it began. One of the kids said, "Did you hear that?" And I paused the book and I said, "Hear what?" And either Crockett or Boone looked at me and said, "Well, sound like somebody dropped a canteen half filled with water on the ground." And so our old plastic canteens, if it was half filled with water, they dropped, it would make a really unique thunk sound.
Okay.
Just kind of real cool thunk. So I'm sitting there listening for a minute, and I hear what sounds like a car, again, about 4 meters away, go down the hardball, hit something, and it echoes through the woods around us. Okay. And I went, "That's what you guys heard. Y'all heard that echo." And they're like, "No, Sergeant, that wasn't the sound." And so I'm like, "No, I'm pretty sure that's probably what you guys heard. It's your imagination." And I was just getting ready to pick up my book when I realized, so I'm sitting, under the camo net, the ammunition's to my right and to my left. These guys are standing there. And I realized that behind them, there's no insects. There's no crickets. There's no loud bugs. There's nothing going off. I can hear it on my right. I can hear it behind me. But right to our left, it's silent. And I remember thinking, okay. And I got quiet for a minute, and I could hear them, they were kind of talking amongst themselves. And I realized that, so the sound started picking up to the left, and then over to the right, it got silent.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, quiet to the right. So now I'm thinking, all right, something's out here. Something's moving. So my little combat spy senses are kind of kicking in. Yeah. So I'm watching over to the right, seeing if I can see anything. But again, it's dark. It's just starlight out. There's no moon up. Eyes are adjusting to a point, but still it's dark. And if you've been out in the dark before, out in the woods, when it's dark, it's dark.
You ain't seen nothing.
Yeah, you're not. So I'm still watching, and then the sound picked up to the right and got quiet to the left. And at that point in time, one of them caught on to that too. And he said, "Well, that's kind of weird." And I was like, "Yeah." I said, "You hear it?" And he goes, "Yeah, yes, Sergeant, I can hear it." And I was like, all right. At that point in time, Humvee starts coming down the tank trail towards us. And I was like, oh, all right. And all of a sudden, everything went normal. Crickets came on up. The Humvee came in from the gunnery site. They came in to swap out expend brass and links and reload up the Humvee with live ammo.
Okay.
They were turning. So I got to sign paperwork. I got to do this. And I set my chem light down by my book with my can of Pringles. And I had my little flashlight, and I was talking to the Humvee driver. I happened to know him. So we were, chawing it up, just visiting back and forth. And while they were unloading and loading ammunition up on the Humvee, and I looked over at the camo net, and I realized that my chem light was gone. So this green glow stick is now gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going, all right, well, maybe one of the kids took it. And about 45 seconds later, as I'm thinking this, here come one of my kids, said, "Hey, son, do you have the chem light? Can I borrow it real quick?" I was like, "No, I thought you guys have it." He goes, "No, we don't have it."
Huh.
And I was like, all right. I looked at the driver and he goes, I said, "You got chem lights?" And he goes, "Yeah, man." So he handed me a whole entire box of chem lights. I was like, "Sweet, appreciate it." And at the time, we treated chem lights like gold. I mean, it was great. You had a chem light. You could almost trade and barter if you had a chem light. It was awesome.
Nice.
So he gave us a box of chem lights. We got everything unloaded. They drove off, and we're standing there by the camo net. And now my two kids realize there's something going on out here as well. And I'm looking around, and I expect to see my chem light bouncing through the woods.
Yeah.
Or out around. I'm expecting it to happen. And we had about a 30-minute conversation. The kids are getting a little nervous, and they're asking about the chem light. And there's no way they could have had it in their pocket because it's going to glow through the pocket.
Right.
So if you put a chem light into your BDUs that we were wearing at the time, it's going to glow through there at night. You're going to see a little bit of that faint light.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm like, all right. So I came up with the idea. This is what we're going to do. I said, we're going to mark the AHA. And it's like, it's ammunition sitting there. It's got pickets pounded to the ground, and it's got concertina wire strung around it. Okay. So I'm like, all right. We're going to take these chem lights, and we're going to walk on over to the ammunition area, the AHA, and we're going to mark every picket just to give us a little light over there. And they're like, okay. So I got my little pen flashlight that I was using to read with. And we walk over, and I get to the first picket, and I mark it, crack it open, set the chem light up on. We walk on down the line. And then the second one, I crack it, mark it up there, and I turn left to go around the corner. And all this happens simultaneously. As soon as I turn left, I step into a cold spot. And it was so cold, I saw my breath in the flashlight.
Oh, okay.
Immediately to my left, again, where they had heard it the first time, I heard the thunk. And it was just like what a canteen half filled with water hitting concrete would sound like.
Yeah.
It was a complete thunk. And so all this happened simultaneously. Where all our heads are swiveled over to the left. I'm trying to back up in this cold spot to catch it again. Cold spot's gone. Can't feel, there's nothing there. The thunk's there, and there is no noise to the left.
Silence again. No bugs.
No bugs, nothing. So the kids are a little jumpy. I'm starting to get just a little jumpy as well. I finished marking the ammunition area. We get back over to the camo netting, and we sit there for a minute. I'm like, all right, so we're marked on up. Everything's covered. We have everything put in place. You know, we're okay. Somebody has to be out here messing with us. And my mind is another unit could be out here training, not knowing that we're here. And they just happen to wander into our AO, area of operation that we were doing. And they may think that we're the Op 4 or the bad guys or whatever. And so they may be trying to sneak up on us. So that's my mind's going there. There's another unit out here training because, you know, I mean, Fort Hood has, you know, 2 divisions on it. So it could be them, could be the Texas militia, could be some good old boy out here lost. Now at this point in time, I have no clue, but something's out there moving.
Yeah.
Okay. So the sounds do the same thing again, left, right, left, right, left, right, going back and forth. And I finally decided, okay, they know where we're at because we have the camo net set there. They know it's there. So so I take us out and I move us outside the camo net. And I get into a little 360. It's where I'm facing the direction where the hard ball would be at. And I have Daniel Boone on my left and Davey Crockett on my right. And my shoulders, and they're facing that direction. So I have this, you know, all in front of me, and they have theirs. To our right was a thicket of bushes, an absolutely good Texas thicket of bushes where you can't walk through it. Okay. And it ran parallel to that dirt mound first, and just probably about good, maybe 7 feet. So we're there. We got the thicket right there. So nothing's going to come on my direction that side, obviously, because I got the mound, I got the thicket. I'm going to know it's coming.
Yeah.
As we squat down to the ground, we're in a kneeling position. About 5 minutes into doing this, I hear footsteps. And it's a slow, deliberate walk. You know what I mean? And it's walking straight in front of me. It's walking straight. I mean, it's right coming straight towards me.
Yeah.
So Daniel Boone hears this, and he started saying, OS, OS, you know, the S word, you know, oh crap, oh crap, oh crap. And I elbowed him to shut him up so I could hear. And I'm trying to get my head down lower to the ground to silhouette whatever's walking against the skyline.
Oh, okay.
So I can see, it's, you know, I mean, silhouette.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to get squatted down lower. And again, all I have for a weapon is me and these 2 soldiers and a flashlight. That's it. So it gets about 4 feet in front of me, and I can't see it again silhouetted. And everything in my body was screaming to turn the light on. So I clicked the light on. There was nothing in front of me at all. And immediately in my right, in that thicket, something ran.
Oh, okay.
There was, I mean, it went straight up over the hill. In the thicket, straight up over the hill.
Through all that stuff, yeah.
Yeah. So I jump up because I can't run through it. So I jump up at this point, run along the thicket. As soon as the thicket ends, I run up the top of this dirt mound. As soon as I get to the top, this giant rock lands behind me.
Oh.
That's a big rock because you hear a thump, thump, thump.
Like
of it rolling when it hits.
Do you have a roughly like how big of a size? You know, like I don't know. Okay, just
no. I because when I heard it, because my back was to it, I spun around, and Davy Crockett was standing there at the bottom of the berm. I run down it, and I grabbed him, and I pulled him up face to face. And as I'm yelling at the kid, I'm like, if this is you and you're messing with me, and this is the language I was using, it was a lot harsher. I'm going to mess you up and leave you out here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
while I'm yelling at the kid this, I can feel him shaking in my hands, and he is crying. Jay, I mean, he's literally, tears are streaming down his eyes. He is pale. He is scared to death.
Out of fear?
As I realize that he's scared,
Yeah.
and the thick woods behind me, I hear a log break.
Ooh, okay.
So you know how the rotted logs, the trees fall down, they start to rot, and something big comes and steps on it, makes that sound.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yep. So I hear that. I let him go. I spin around, sprint over the hill. I get 10 feet into the woods, and every part of me was screaming, I needed to leave.
Yeah.
I had the flashlight on, and even with the flashlight in those woods, it was dark. Like the flashlight wasn't doing anything. And it was silent. There was no crickets at this point in time. There's no noises going on. And every part of me was screaming that I did not need to be in there. I did not need to be there. And I remember I slowly started to back out. And I was looking over my shoulder to make sure I didn't trip over anything, and trying to use the light to try and see. I don't know any way to describe this. I mean, it was this weird fear of I needed to leave.
Right. Yeah.
I absolutely had to leave, and I backed out, and I got to the little trail that we had parked on, and I was standing in the middle of it. And I remember staring at the woods, and I felt just absolutely defeated. I mean, I felt I mean, it was looking back on it. I mean, granted, it was 22 years ago, but I remember this like it would happen last week. I remember standing there feeling defeated. I remember I was still holding my flashlight at the trees, at the woods.
Yeah.
And I was just like, you got to be kidding me. Defeated. And I had no idea. And I looked to my right, and I saw my pickup truck, and I got inspired. And I walked on over to my truck, started my truck up, and I kicked the headlights on. And that was probably like God himself shining a beam of light. And it was like this most surreal, happy feeling I ever felt. It lit up the whole area, and I just felt safe in the headlights of my truck. It lit up the woods, everything. And I was like, all right, I got you now. I have you now. And it lasted for about 30 seconds when military training kicked back in. And it was noise and light discipline. We have to do this. We have to do that. So I turned the truck off, turned the headlights off, and this is 2002. And prior to this movie came out, Fast and Furious, and everybody had the Fast and Furious fever. You ever seen the movie?
Oh, I know what you're talking. Yes.
Okay. So I was an idiot and bought into the neon light, craze as well at that time. And so I had neons on the hood of my truck. So where your windshield wiper fluid would shoot out of.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there were blue neon lights.
Nice.
So I had them on switch. So I turned the switch on. I was like, all right, it puts a little bit of light. So now I have a little bit of light behind me. I walked over to the camo net. Davy Crockett and Daniel Boone are pretty much hugging each other. And I'm not exaggerating. They really are. They're both crying, and they're both begging at this point in time, can we leave? Sergeant, can we leave? Can we leave? Can we get out of here? Sergeant, can we get out of here? Can we get out of here? And I lit up a cigarette. I looked at them and said, no, guys, we can't. We got to guard everything with limits of our post. Put our post on proper lead. I mean, it's your general orders. That's what we have to do. And I remember how my cigarette, and I turned and looked at my truck, and the driver's side neon winked, like something walked in front of it.
Ooh, okay.
Okay, now I'm 10 feet away from my truck.
Yeah.
So in a matter of seconds, I'm at the front of my truck.
Yeah.
Nothing's there. Nothing's running down the road. Nothing's running down the other side of the road. Nothing's running through the woods. Nothing. Now, remember, there's still no crickets. There's still no insects.
Still silence.
It's all silent all around.
Mm-hmm.
And standing there, I mean, I'm looking up underneath my truck. I'm looking up underneath David Crockett's car. I'm looking like there's no way this thing could have disappeared.
Right.
So at that point in time, I said, well, screw it. Turn the neons off, and I walked back over to the camo net, and I sat down, and I lit up another cigarette. And the kids were standing there like, what are we going to do? I said, well, there's nothing we can do. Whatever it's going to do is going to do it.
Right.
So we sat there until the moon came up. And the only way we knew that something was where it was at, because it started going back to the weird sounds again. One side, another side, and then it started moving behind us.
Yeah.
So whatever it was moved around us all night long up until the moon came up.
Okay.
Once the moon came up past the trees, it lit the whole area up, which was great. And to where you could see. I mean, you could see where the alley was at. You see the trees line. You know what I mean?
Oh,
What you couldn't see before in the dark. I mean, it wasn't a full moon, but it was pretty close. It lit the whole area up, and it stopped. Everything went to normal.
Interesting. You think it's just the light of the moon that made it stop?
I have no idea. I just know that when that moon came up, everything went to normal.
Yes.
Now, so when the sun finally came up, right? Everybody gets braver when the sun comes up, right?
Yep.
Right.
Yep. Everybody
starts thinking clearly when the sun comes up. So, sitting there, and I looked at Daniel Boone and David Crockett, and I went, you guys know what? Coyotes.
Yeah.
Y'all set those traps up last night with those whoppers, and we had all these coyotes in here last night trying to get the whoppers.
Yeah.
And they got this look of happiness on their face, like, oh, Mike, Sarnt, you're right. You're right. I said, go ahead, check your traps. Go look. I guarantee you have no whoppers out there. They jogged over to the first site. They're jumping up and down. They're waving me over. And I'm cocky and I'm confident. And I know for a fact that this whopper's gone. Wasn't touched.
Oh, boy.
Neither was the second one, nor the third, the fourth, or the fifth.
Wow. Okay.
No coyotes
would leave
came
that.
in. Yep. Nothing came in that whole entire area that night to eat those whoppers.
Wow. Okay, that was a little surprise. I was honestly thinking that the whole time, like, you lured something in with whoppers. That's for sure. But apparently not.
What did the guy that ran it the night before say?
There were coyotes. Yeah, I remember that part, but I think he was probably just saying that,
That's
right?
what I'm saying. That's the
Right.
connection.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the night, when the sun comes up and you're freaked out, and you're like, it just has to be coyotes.
Right. Why are so many dogs suffering from health issues? Actress Katherine Heigl, who's helped save over 16,000 dogs through her foundation, says she's seeing some more issues with dogs' joints, odors, and health than ever before. And after doing a ton of research, she feels there's one place we can look to support any dog's health: their food. So she's decided to create something she could actually feel good about feeding her dogs. It's called Superfood Complete. Superfood Complete is made with over the 30 of the healthiest ingredients on the planet, including several superfoods vital to your dog's health. Badlands Ranch also sponsors the Jason Debus Heigl Foundation, which has helped rescue thousands of dogs and place them in loving homes. Dogs across America are trying this food and experiencing amazing health benefits. My dog Grace loves it. She just gobbles it up. Go check out Badlands Ranch. You can get there at badlandsranch.com/corn crew and order right now to get up to 50% off your regular priced order with a 90-day money-back guarantee. If you want your dog to experience all these incredible things, go to BADLANDS ranch.com/corn crew today.
Yeah, but coyotes are going to throw a rock.
Hey, well,
Crush
Ohio
a-
Yeah,
coyotes.
coyotes are going to break a log.
Ohio coyotes.
Not even
So
that.
what's crazy though is that I had a chance to get with Sergeant M a couple days later, and I mean I'll continue on because I go back out there that next night on my own, but after I got relieved, but I got a chance to talk to Sergeant M a few days later, and I remember I asked him, I said, "Hey, you remember I relieved you and you said he had coyotes that night?" And he goes, "Yeah." And I said, "You slept in your truck?" And he goes, "Yeah." I said, "Was it really coyotes?"
What he
And
said?
he looked at me and he goes, "Coyotes," and walked off.
Interesting. So he wouldn't.
Yep, he said coyotes and walked off.
It was like the farmer that told us that doesn't believe in Bigfoot that saw something and said it was a guy. We're like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, an 8-foot tall guy running through your horn. Yep, and walked away.
Yeah, 8-foot guys. What are you gonna do? Yeah, I don't believe in Bigfoot.
No, exactly. Yeah.
Ironic enough, I have a good friend of mine, and his son actually did the graphics for the Drunken Cryptids, and he has his own little production company here. And me and him were talking and stuff, and he goes, "Yeah, I think it's kind of cool. You're gonna do a show, but I don't believe in that stuff or anything like that." And 20 minutes later, he's telling me about his haunted house.
Okay.
So I have an episode. So one of my episodes is him telling us about his haunted house. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, I mean, it just So I think it's funny, but yeah, it's R&M. But you gotta remember too, though. Like I didn't care when I was in the military. I didn't care if I saw something creepy and crazy.
Yeah,
everybody knew.
You weren't afraid to speak it, be ridiculed or whatever.
I wasn't. So I was a kid in school that was reading books on, UFOs and Bigfoot and. I mean, you ghosts. I mean, my parents were a little concerned a few times, I think. I mean, I came home with the Amityville Horror book and my mom had a heart attack. I was going to read the Amityville Horror. And I have to be honest with you, to this day, that's probably one of the scariest books I've ever read in my life.
I can only imagine.
Yeah.
Especially being a kid reading it.
Yeah. So that day, though, so when I got home, my ex-wife even looked at me and she actually thought, she even asked, she said, "Are you sure you were just on guard duty?" Because she said I was pale, I hadn't slept, and I was visibly shaken from what happened that night. And I slept for about 4 hours, and we were going to a good friend of mine's house to hang out with him and his wife that night. And when I got over there, he said the same thing too. He said, "You don't look right. Are you feeling good?" So I said, "Man, you're not going to believe what happened to me last night." And I told him the story. And he was like, "Oh, man, what do you want to do?" I said, "I want to get my truck right now and I want to drive back out there.
Yeah.
I want to go make sure those guys are okay." And we did. And when I showed up, the guy that relieved me, when I drove up out there, looked at me like, what are you doing, dude?"
Yeah, what are you doing?
I was like, "Oh, man, I think I left my grandfather's knife or something out." You know what I mean?
Something.
Using a flashlight to look around on the ground. You know what I mean? Just pretending. But when I was out there that night, though, nothing. It was normal. It felt like it should.
Right, yeah, just like a normal night.
No where it did the night before. Yeah.
Right, yeah. So whatever it was, it moved off, for sure.
Yeah, or I don't know what it did, but I can tell you that there was this incident. And I've lived in haunted houses. I mean, I've had stuff move on me. I've seen shadow people. And crazy weird experiences. I mean, in Germany, we were looking through thermal sights, and we saw a hot spot. And my gunner's looking at it. And I'm looking at it through the BC site. And I'm like, what the hell is that? And I'm trying to stick my head up and look at night, trying to see out there in the field. Don't see nothing. Come back down, pop, and we see this thing go like this.
Whoa! Okay, so for anyone listening,
it did like a weird whoop, straight up,
and then went straight up in the air.
Straight up in the air. Now we didn't see it. We did. I mean, we caught on our thermal sights.
Thermal, you're right.
It was a hot spot,
but not with your naked eye.
Not with the naked eye. Yeah. Nothing. Because we both jumped up out of the turret looking up skyward.
Yeah, to see it. And nothing.
Yeah, see nothing.
Whoa.
No sound, no nothing. Yeah, that. Yeah. So, I mean, I've had crazy experiences, but this night, I got touched at the tomb. I got touched at the Birdcage Theater in Tombstone, Arizona.
Oh, okay.
I got inspired to do a road trip in 2021 with an Army buddy of mine, and we went to Roswell, White Sands, Tombstone, Flagstaff, and the goal was to get a picture standing on a corner in Winslow, Arizona.
Okay.
So, so in Tombstone, we took a tour of the birdcage, and I got touched on my right shoulder, walked up the stairs to go beyond the stage.
Is the birdcage it's a theater, you said?
Yep, the Birdcage Theater. So if you've seen the movie, that's where they do the little scene where they're doing the play and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is actually the only still original non-remodeled building from the time frame of Wyatt Earp and them.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. I did not know that. All right.
So like the Oriental where everything happens at in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was after the events at Tombstone, it's been a pharmacy. It's been a family diner. It's been, you know what I mean? It's been remodeled and rechanged so many times.
Yep. But this one's still the theater.
Yep. But the Birdcage Theater still stands. There's still bullet holes in the wall from people shooting.
That is awesome.
Yep.
Nice.
So, I actually got touched. There's a local bar here. We call it the most haunted place in Central Arkansas. And it's not really a bar. It's kind of a pub place, and the food in there is amazing. It used to be a speakeasy back in the day.
Oh, cool.
With prostitutes upstairs. The history is great, and the story is there's a female ghost and a male ghost, and the male ghost is downstairs because he killed the female ghost. So she was apparently a prostitute. She got pregnant by one of her Johns, and she was wanting to quit. So instead of letting her quit, he killed her.
Jeez.
So they threw her off the top.
Jeez.
Okay. 10 years later, he's trying to break up a bar fight, same spot, and gets stabbed.
Oh, man.
So everybody that works there, I know the owner quite well, is a great guy. Everybody that works there knows that it's haunted. They'll have on their Facebook page, they actually have a video at 9:00 in the morning on a security camera of a still. They have, so that above the bar, they have all these really cool old decorations, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Of this metal still just dropping.
Okay, yeah.
Nobody's in the restaurant. Nobody's in there at all whatsoever.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I got touched in that place.
Nice. So you're
just
kind of
people will see, apparently, but people will see these things. I mean, so everybody sees this stuff there all the time. And so when our buddy bought it and he was refurbishing it, he said about once a week there would be somebody working upstairs, and they come downstairs and they quit on the spot because the lady kept showing up.
Oh, geez. Okay.
Yep. So I've never seen anything in there, and so I'm working to do an episode actually inside
the birdcage.
Inside the pub here, and it's called the Four Quarters. It's great. Right. It's a great spot. Best wings in North Little Rock.
Well, don't forget to say the name.
So the what?
What's the name of the place?
The pub. Yeah. What's the name?
It's called Four Quarter Bar.
4 Quarter Bar. Okay. In Central Arkansas.
4 Quarter Bar. Yep. So we have a really neat area downtown. It's called Argenta, and we got really great restaurants down there. And they'll shut down the street to where you have open drinks. They do free live music outside. You bring your pets. You have a good time. It's a lot of fun to go down there and socialize. So, in Four Quarters, one of those places, they get great bands in there. It's smoke free on the bottom part. You can smoke upstairs. But I'm working to do an episode in there, an interview. A couple of the bartenders who I like to say I know quite well, and the owner, and we're all going to do an interview live. Well, do a live recording and see if we can't catch something while we're going to do a podcast episode.
Right in the background or something, or
yep,
that'd be awesome. So you can find that on Drunken Cryptids.
So I haven't done it yet, but I do have on Drunken Cryptids. I did catch an EVP, and it's on my YouTube channel. Me and my buddy Jacob had gone to the Elks Lodge here and had an experience in there some years ago with a really good friend of mine who's in law enforcement, and he was right there, and the doorknob on the bathroom was doing this to us.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Like someone's on the side trying to open it, shaking. And he was like, brother, I don't think we should go in there. And again, I always tell everybody this. I'm going to be the first one in a horror movie to die because I'm going to go in there and check it out. And I couldn't get the door open at first. So when I was getting ready to try and get the show started, I said, come on, Jacob. We had a couple of beers. Let's go upstairs, and that's where the ghost was at, and let's see what we can catch. And I caught an EVP.
Oh, okay, right there. Inside with
and
the shaky door. I
almost talk over it, actually.
Is that the night I called you when you guys were at the bar?
No, that was no, I'd already done it.
Okay.
And that was the night that we all did a shot with you.
Yes.
Yep.
You're doing shots with people across the country.
Yes.
I'm not surprised.
Well, he put it on. He's like, hey, I want to call you, do a shot with you.
No, I just think
it's painting. I was like, yeah.
I was just like, it just these things find you.
Yeah, algorithm.
No, that's awesome. So I'm looking forward. That'll be. Did you already release that on your YouTube? The EVP.
Yeah, the EVP's on there.
Oh yeah.
So
they can check
it's on my TikTok as well. Yep.
Link below.
And then in the future, there's going to be an interview. Hopefully, that'll take place within there.
Maybe we'll come down for that. It's only 11 hours.
Only.
Well,
yes, I know. I looked it on up. I want to come up to the conference, and I actually may have a way to get to the conference now. So I'm trying to work to try and maybe pop up there. And if I can't, I may be able to try and help out a little bit. Just I'm trying to throw at you guys if you need some help with it.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah. I mean,
we'll never turn that down.
Yeah. We'll take any help we can get.
No, I know.
But Brandon, pick him up on the way from Oklahoma. You're already picking up.
There we go.
4 other people.
There you go. Yeah. Everyone just piled together. We need a big round trip bus.
I'll bring the Jeep up there. Because Ohio's on my list of places I want to go because you guys have so many cool cryptids.
Oh, yeah. So
many cool stories. So I told you earlier that soldiers talk about a handful of things.
Yep.
Okay. I've had 2 soldiers from Ohio that I love to death. Okay. One was a kid in Korea And whatever small town he lived in, I just want to go sit on a park bench and hang out in that town because apparently everybody does crazy things there. Nuts.
Yeah, that's Ohio.
The other one is probably one of the craziest cryptid stories I've ever heard in my life. What I went through was pretty intense. This is a short and sweet one. And he was a kid. He was adopted. And so into this family, they took him on in. He was raised by him. He was adopted as a baby kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And he went to his grandparents' house out there. I don't know where in Ohio, but it was up there in Ohio. And him and his cousin were going to hang out. They're going to four-wheeler. And they're going to drive through the woods. And they're going to go see where the cows die. Because, if cattle out there in the fields, they're in one spot, they're going to find an area to die.
Okay. They
always do. So as kids, even, the horses and the ranch and stuff for me in Utah, same thing. So he's telling me the story. He's like, yeah, so my cousin's, he's driving. I'm sitting behind him. It's dark. We get in the woods as it gets darker. And he said, but we start seeing these like claw marks on the trees. And I was like, all right. He said, then we come across our first dead cow. And it had been gutted. It had been mutilated. I was like, really? He said, it had been torn apart. He said, they stopped and looked at it. And his cousin said, why don't we just go ahead and get out of here? So they drove a little bit further to turn around. As they were turning around, they had the headlight on of the four-wheeler. And this is what I remember the most. He said, as they were turning, the headlight caught this giant two-legged wolf thing that had a red eye until the light hit its eye. When the light hit its eye, the eye went from red to black.
Oh, wow.
Don't like that.
So it went from red to black. It turned its head and looked at him, and his cousin gunned it.
Yeah.
As an
appropriate reaction.
Yeah.
Exactly. He said they gunned the four-wheeler. He's hugging tight to his cousin as they're hauling through the woods. And he said he didn't look behind him, but he said he could feel it like chasing him.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So they break through the woods on the four-wheeler. They go flying to the grandparents' house. They jump off the four-wheeler. They run inside. They run upstairs. They turn the light on. They freak out. No, it'll see us. We have the light on. They turn the light off, and they're peeking out the window from where they just came from, and they see a man come out of the woods.
No.
Look at the farmhouse and turn and walk back into the woods.
A werewolf.
No, you know who that sounds like?
See, I got to be honest with you. So again, I'm sitting there going, part of me saying the kid was full of crap. The other part of me though is, you can tell when somebody's telling you a story.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Their eyes. Watch their eyes. This kid was 100% adamant on what he just witnessed and what he just went through.
Yeah.
No, you can tell.
Oh yeah.
Yep. And so I started researching more into that, and again, the internet was still in its infancy. So if you're going to try, you're mainly going to get weird stuff like movies and everything. And so
right. Yeah.
Back to books you go. Because like I said, I was a kid in school that was researching werewolves and vampires. And, I was the weird kid.
Do you happen to remember what section of Ohio this was or no?
I don't have a clue. No.
Right, yeah.
He told me this story like in 2002.
Right. Yeah. It's 22 years ago. Holy crap.
22 years ago. I just remember the details of it.
He's old.
I just can't believe that much. So am I. That's a lot of time passed.
I was 7.
That's 12. Dang. That's craziness, though.
Do you know what that sounds like, right?
Who?
The devil from the Bible.
Okay, yeah.
No, I'm not even joking.
No,
though.
I know. It kind of sounds like that, like werewolfy, wendigo-y.
Yeah, all of it. But that was the point.
Well,
yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah, demonic.
Yeah.
Well, to me, demonic. I'm 100% going with demonic on that one. So I have a theory about the Wendigo. I really, really do. I don't think the Wendigo is real.
Okay.
Interesting take.
Okay. So, and the reason why is because if you look at the lore of the basis history of the Wendigo and what it was based off of, so to be a Wendigo, what do you have to do?
Normally, it's cannibalism, but it can be matricide, incest, that kind of stuff.
Exactly. And
Taboo.
so, what time of year does the Wendigo come out?
Winter. Frozen heart.
There we go. So the Native Americans used this to deter people from cannibalism during harsh winters.
100%.
Huh. I can see that.
We talked about that.
Well, I just mean as being like not. I know. Yes, we did, but as being like it not even being real at all whatsoever.
Yeah, a deterrent for taboo subjects.
Right.
For hard parts of winter. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
There's things I forget. Okay.
I know. I'm not. That was the season 2 opener.
Probably.
Now, here's another good one for you too. In medieval Eastern Europe, the ceremony to turn into a werewolf is really close and similar to what the Navajos do to turn to skinwalkers.
Yeah.
Okay.
I could see that.
And so what drives me nuts on that one is, so how do two cultures, opposite worlds apart from each other with no contact, have the same ceremony?
Aliens.
Wikipedia.
Aliens did it. Ancient astronauts theorists believe
Ancient
that
astronauts theorists believe.
Yeah, I know. Instantly they would say that though. Like
It can only be aliens.
like, you pose that serious question, like
Could
a
it be?
legit, real question, like how is this possible? Aliens immediately.
Alien.
Could it be? No, because it's always like, could it be? Then it's
Yes!
Giorgio being like, yes.
Yes. No. I don't know. That is a good question though. There
It's
has to
real.
be some sort of
We brought that up so many times with like the Fae, for example.
as being
Like
different
you
parts
can
of the world.
It's different names.
Right.
The
Same
exact
phenomena.
same phenomena
Yeah.
on every continent sub Antarctica.
It-
And
it-
it's because there's no people there, right? There, historically,
Right.
No living cultures from Antarctica.
It's just the ritual thing is weird because rituals aren't just something you pull out of your butt and just do.
No, but it's that
It's
accessing
taught.
the code.
Yes.
right.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's weird personally because I think it's the same thing. Whether these entities teaching how to do it or somebody's trading information.
But that's
Yep.
right. That's
We did 2 hours today.
either's weird.
about trading information.
For sure. For sure. It's selling your soul.
It didn't have to sell your soul. That is the most often asked price.
So a thing to barter.
Yeah.
You
But-
shouldn't barter with.
No, don't barter with your soul.
No.
It's never worth it.
Never barter with your soul.
Nope. It's like your highest form, your highest being of yourself.
That is the one thing that you have that no one can ever take away from you.
That's
You can only
right.
give it away.
That's right. That's true.
Yep. 100%. Well, there you go.
So I wanted to circle back then to your
Circle back.
I know, Jen Psaki style. Let's circle back.
All right.
Who's Jen
Circle
Psaki?
back.
Haven't heard that in a while. The former press secretary, the redhead, Joel's old girlfriend.
Yeah, Joel, yep.
Joel loved Jen Psaki. You know.
He sure does.
Yeah, he still does, for sure. But when you never did.
Check out Free the Rabbits.
That's right. You never did lay eyes on anything in particular, and then when you went back, you never had a reoccurring experience,
No.
right? It was just
Yeah, that
one
was
time.
so that night. I didn't pull guard duty again out there. They finished up gunnery sooner than they had planned. So I was back on the EIB site. But the next night when I drove out there with my buddy to talk to the guards, nothing. It felt
it's just,
completely normal.
Yeah.
And that night too, never saw a thing. And what drives me nuts, so honestly, is that I should have seen something when I walked up. It had to get 4 feet in front of me, Jay, and there's no way. And I mean, so when I started hearing about spider crawl with Bigfoot, I was like, okay, maybe it did this, but there's no way it could have got through those bushes.
right.
As I tell everybody, if you listen to, the whole story has Bigfoot aspects to it. It's got dogman aspects to it. It's got fae aspects to it.
Yeah.
all the
Like
same,
where'd the
right?
chem light go?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, not only where'd the chem light go, so what was up at the cold spot?
Yep.
Yeah. No.
That's what to me.
The thunk sounds. You know what I mean?
The metal door.
Especially, but it's a familiar sound that only you guys are kind of familiar with hearing it. You know what I mean? It's a unique sound that it
The only
created
thing your encounter is missing is the stairwell.
in Mel's hole, in some sort of hole.
A tumor seal.
Yeah. To me, it feels just more like that paranormal Bigfoot, and maybe it wasn't walking directly in front of you; it was more projecting that
But
sound and
I
feeling
was
in
going
front
to
of
say,
you.
think about like Ron Moorhead. We know Ron really well now,
Yes.
which is a crazy thing. But he's talked about that when he was in the wooden cabin, the wooden lodge they built.
Yeah.
Cabin loosely is the term. Anybody that hasn't seen pictures of what they were living in?
The wooden shack.
Yeah, no, it's shack's a
Nice.
loose term for it
Okay.
as well. It was long.
And they heard a car door close.
Lean-to.
Yeah, a lean-to. That's probably the best. The car door, but they would have literally Bigfoot. Ron described to us Bigfoot on the other side of the wall screaming at them. They would stick the camera out, and there is nothing there. But they could feel like it's right there. They know there's a thing. If it was a cow, you could feel the cow stomping. You could, sense the cow screaming at you. That noise.
I feel like it's that same maybe phenomenon.
Yeah, right. I'm agreeing.
Yeah.
That it's that same thing.
Feeling it physically right there, and then when you flash the light on,
whether it
wasn't actually there, but it was in that thicket.
These interlopers, these interdimensional interlopers, to where they're not fully maybe here quite yet.
What did you call that? I like that name.
Interdimensional interlopers.
That sounds like
that should be a
band.
T-shirt.
Yeah.
All right.
That's our new band.
Brandon, interdimensional interloper T-shirt.
That's our new band name.
Snap, make it.
That'd be a great punk band name.
Yeah.
So that's what his story, his encounters gets to me. Like the stuff disappearing.
Yeah.
And stuff moving around them, but not moving around them.
Right.
And, by that I mean like the hearing, the feeling it,
and
then
all
flashing lights, and it's nothing's there.
And all on a military base.
Because that speaks so. Everybody, you can say whatever you want about Ron. I believe him. We've met him a number of times. We've hung out with him privately a number of times. He's not a liar.
No, he had no
That's what I'm
reason
saying,
to.
but people public, you know what I mean.
Oh,
like,
gotcha,
he's one of
yeah.
those figures. He's so known in the community. There's going to be people that hate and whatever.
Yep.
But you strike some of those chords with some of his encounters to where a lot of his stuff is flesh and blood Bigfoot, right? It's that basic, not basic, but that core Bigfoot stuff. And then he'll tell you like, yeah, and then I stick the camera out the hole and there's nobody there.
Yeah.
He's like, I know that Bigfoot is on the other side of this 12-inch log, looking at me, screaming at me, and nothing's there.
Yeah. That'd be frightening.
Yeah, I don't know if it's military bases is a big thing. I mean, Matthew knows it. Everybody at home knows it. That there's a lot of the extra weird cryptids, or seem to be more concentrated around military bases and military activity.
Do you think?
True.
Do you think that could be a reason why we have over like 800 military bases around the world? Is they're finding these
Putting around
points?
portals?
Yeah, they're finding
Or
these
whatever they are.
ports. Yeah, and then it's like, well, you know what?
Well,
Democracy.
That's Matthew, not me.
okay. All right. Jay, I've been wanting to give you this answer for a long time. You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. And it's honestly, you ready? It's the simplest answer in the world. It really is. So, World War II.
Yes.
Okay. So, what hard lesson did America learn in World War II?
Don't get involved.
No, if it wasn't for us getting involved.
Good luck, Matthew.
Oh.
I know.
Maybe that was
So
World War I.
the reason why the bases went everywhere after this was because we weren't going to get. So when World War II happened, the strongest thing we had going for us was the Navy.
Okay.
That was all we had. Our Navy, the United States Navy at that time was a force to be reckoned with.
Right.
And that's the reason why the Japanese are trying to catch us with our pants down at Pearl Harbor.
Okay.
Okay. So, and they couldn't. So it was great. We got lucky with the aircraft carriers not being there. That was about as lucky as we got on that scenario. So we have these bases set up because now we're set up to where we can be deployed anywhere in the world. In some cases, less than 12 hours.
Yeah.
And so as long as 36 to 48 hours, which is actually pretty quick.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, for the world, yeah.
Yeah, so-
yeah.
For the world.
Yep.
Yeah. Very quick.
Yeah. So for like in Korea, there's no surrender. It was a ceasefire.
Right. Yep. Yeah. The Korean War is still technically going on.
Yes. So that's the reason why we're still in Korea.
Mhm.
Japan is because part of the surrender of Japan, they would not have a military.
Yeah.
We were to provide the protection.
Right.
So Japan, they have a protection force, kind of like a Coast Guard.
Coast Guard's jobs that
Yep.
matter. Yeah.
And that's part of it. Germany, over there in Europe, well, we had Russia right there. And so
Right.
everybody wanted to bow up with each other on Russia.
Okay.
And during the Cold War, Russia was doing the same thing that we were doing, putting bases everywhere.
Right.
Yeah, to scare the other opponent.
Correct.
And over the years, we've actually been shutting them down.
Well, that's good.
Yep. So we've closed a lot to where we no longer patrol the DMZ. The South Koreans are now in charge of it.
Okay. Baby steps.
So there's been a lot of good drawbacks. that have gone through. So on that side, pulling troops on out, shutting down like the barracks where I was stationed at in Germany. That's gone. It's turned over to the Germans.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
So yeah.
I don't know. I mean, maybe this is a debate for not a debate, a discussion for another show. There's no debate here, that's for sure. That would be great. Because I love talking about this stuff, and I don't get enough people that have been there and in it to be able to talk about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm a big fan. I mean, I joined the military because, I was a child of the 80s, and I wanted to, hey, go fight the Russians. And then the wall came down. G.I. Joe, Chuck Norris, and Rambo.
Oh, yeah. They were, I think that was by design, too, to help.
Honestly, it was.
Yeah, and it worked. Not like, I don't know. It worked. It was effective.
It's calling you brainwashed, just so you know.
No, I'm not saying that. I wanted to go into the military too.
Yeah, that is the craziest thing about you.
Yeah, I went through MEPS. I did my ASVAB. I was going to go into the Air Force.
I don't know if we ever talked about that really on the show.
What?
No.
That you go into that.
Yeah, you know what
you
the
almost did it.
You know what the weirdest part is through all that?
What happened?
ASVAB is the fact that they make you get in your underwear and waddle around the floor so they can watch you, and then
you know why? They're seeing if you're flat-footed.
Oh, okay. Well, okay, and then they pull you into a private room with the oldest doctor known to man. That's probably 90 years old, and makes you bend over a table and spread your butt cheek so he can examine your butthole from about 2 inches away and say, "Nice."
Remember.
I'm just telling you, this is the truth, and that's exactly what happened.
I guess words pick them better.
That was pretty censored. That was pretty tame for what happened.
It wasn't extreme, but I'm just saying.
I'm just saying that's
toe the line.
That's what happens when you want to go into the military. They got to take a gander at your nether quarters and make sure
they do.
The doctor enjoys it. So
I think they pop up around military bases. I don't think it's vice versa.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
I think the military base, what it is, it's a protected site.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a public site.
Yeah.
You don't have campers out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So from my previous work, I'm not even joking. I mean, the endangered species stuff we'd find, we would go on military bases and prisons were the two big ones we'd find endangered species.
Interesting.
Because nobody goes. Nobody goes there.
Nobody's bothering
them.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to go
makes
behind.
A lot of sense.
The one prison I did, which I can't name, the one prison we did, we found several state endangered species, including hellbenders on it, because it was a prison we had to have an armed guard with us the whole time. It was actually the same one my cousin was at during the time, and they questioned me about that.
Like you were trying to break him out?
Well, yeah, they don't know, right?
Yeah. What is this, Ernest goes to jail?
And he was like 3 or 4 weeks from getting out, and we're like, why?
Yeah, you're going to break him out.
It was low security, whatever the lowest.
I brought him a cake.
Yeah,
he described it as Boy Scout camp.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Like big kid Boy Scout camp.
Yeah.
Like
sounds kind of fun.
He went to real prison too one time. But that was the time he was in like the low security, whatever theft prison,
Yeah.
No violent offenders
crime,
or whatever, just but we found tons of endangered species. One of the best sites we did in our state because it was a prison. So if the paranormal biosphere,
I just thought something hilarious though. Private prisons, they pretty much incarcerate people, try to incarcerate people.
Keep them incarcerated.
What if they just flip their tune and realize we could be a nature preserve?
They are. No, this one was a nature preserve.
Oh my gosh, they're probably collecting government money off that too.
Yeah, probably.
Well, the DMZ's a nature
double
preserve.
Dipping.
Yeah.
The DMZ is nobody's in there.
Yeah, it's true.
But it's 100 meters. It's 100 meters wide, and it is. Yes, it's overgrown. It's 100%. Nature preserve.
So, but there was bat boxes out there and owl boxes. It was nice. We enjoyed it every year we went down. We enjoyed it. Never once had a problem with any prisoner ever.
Right.
They could kind of watch us from the hill. They were 400, 500 yards away.
Yeah.
I never was scared of because once again this isn't like a max security prison with murderers.
They're just people too.
It's a big difference between a max security prison with murderers and rapists and versus these guys are they stole something from a gas station.
They fell into hard times, or they were
most people. The longest sentence there was 3 years, I think.
Yeah,
my cousin was saying it when he was there.
Yeah,
it's a lot. Like he said, it was Boy Scout camp. We played basketball 9 hours a day. That kind of deal. But
Just imprison people
But
for
to
nonviolent crimes and make some money
Matthew's
off of
point,
it.
I really think like that. I never put that together.
Yeah, I never thought about that either.
That what if these are extra dimensional nature preserves? Because like he said, nobody's camping. You can't go on them. The people that do go on them know they're not supposed to be there, and it's really sketchy.
It's safe space.
So when you see a dog man and he's kind of peeved off at you, it's because he's like, nobody's supposed to be back here.
You're in your quiet space.
I came back here to hide.
Yeah, I had a bad day.
You're back here poking me, and
he was in it. You're in his shout room, his scream room.
Yeah. No, that's an interesting idea, but I'm with Matthew on that idea that it's the vice versa. Because we built
that, and I also like the idea that it's a military base. People aren't there, so of course, naturally, things will want to go where people aren't.
There's few exceptions.
Well, now here's the other side of that coin too, though.
Yeah.
Is that when we do go out and train, so we train at night.
Yeah.
So we're using night vision and we're using thermal sensors. You know what I mean? We're out there moving around at night to train to be in the night because we always attack at night. So I remember saying that, you would have thought at least at one point in time that you would see it. But again, with Fort Hood being the size that it is, I mean, you're going to hear tanks coming. And they probably have better hearing than we think we give them credit for.
And our technology probably can do.
Yep. You're going to feel a tank coming.
But again, too, though. So now we have drones, though. They're watching everything. We have drones at the time that we were training with. But, the helicopters, I mean, everything out there. So there has to be a way somehow for them to mask their signature on those.
Yeah.
Sure.
There has to be. Mm-hmm. There has to be a natural way. I mean, if the octopus can go ahead and blend into his surroundings and chameleon can change his colors.
Yes.
There has to be something along with Bigfoot to being able to do that.
I mean, we have. So, yeah, I 100% agree because there could be. So we've been talking lately, last couple of weeks, really hardcore about and this isn't even out for most people listening, about like the 5% light spectrum. But I think that that's what we can see. Visible light's about 5% of all light visible on Earth for like all light available.
Right.
I think that carries over to other things as well. Like when we're talking about these shadow biospheres, an animal doesn't have to be warm or cold-blooded. If we're talking these interdimensional or shadow biosphere animals.
What, like neutral-blooded?
Like, yeah, they could be ambient temperature.
I was just joking, but okay, you did mean
They don't lag.
Right.
Lizards and stuff lag. They show up cold or hot.
Right.
They're holding or trying to warm up. Mammals are a constant temperature, so we shine. Thermal and stuff like that.
Right.
If these extra dimensional or extra planal, which is they're in our plane, but they're a little bit outside of what we normally view.
Different frequency.
Yeah, they may not be able to. They may be ambient temperature constantly, so that could be how they walk through these thermals. Fine, and you maybe get a little bit of the glitching, and that's from them maybe pushing airflow.
Yeah,
and that's where you kind of see maybe like these. You have some of these thermals where you kind of see like an outline sometimes.
Or what if they're even just here physically too long and it starts to?
It could be any of it.
Change. Yeah,
it could be any of it, and that's why quantum
physics
what if it's is hated by
what if it ties in? The big key thing is I don't hear a lot of people talk about it is their fur.
Sure.
So, okay. Prime example. So, how hard is it for people to get a fur sample?
Hard. I mean, you've heard me.
So what is that? So, I mean, we could brush a dog and a cat and a deer and a cougar and a bear, and we're going to get fur, right? We're going to get samples.
Yeah.
Okay, so what if there's something tied in with their fur that either helps control their temperature, the exterior and internal temperature. Okay, and the design, their actual physical design is where you're not easily going to be pop out, or you're going to use tape and you're going to put an apple in a tree, it's going to stuck to the tape. But what if they use their fur not only to camouflage, because camouflage is basically breaking up your outline so you don't look like a person thing. You're changing your outline up. So what if they're using their fur to either protect the heat,
right?
Yeah, sure.
Or so
space blanket.
You go to the desert. Yeah, you go to the desert, right? And sun goes down in the desert, and you turn your thermals on. You have rocks that are glowing hot,
right?
Because they've absorbed the heat all day long, and over the night goes on, they cool down.
Yep.
Okay. So what if their bodies are designed somehow to allow the heat to escape, whether through their feet or through their hands, and they're not going to produce that heat signature.
Yeah,
100%.
like a dog.
They can even have biology that even goes way past that to where like they're almost more like porcelain, where they don't hold heat for more than a couple seconds.
Ooh.
Like when it's time,
Yep.
like the sun goes down, they go, if it's 90 degrees in the sun, but 80 degrees in the shade, they walk in the shade and in half a second, they're being that ambient temperature.
Yeah.
I mean, and then
And they can survive that way.
Yeah.
it's not a part of their biology to have to contain a normal body temperature. Like,
Yep.
I think that's been my favorite thing about the show is showing that in our known biosphere, our known group of animals, plants, and fungus, there are things that break all the rules. Freaky Fauna Friday we just did, or the worst animal ever is what I think its title or something like that. The goat.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
The cold-blooded goat. There's literally no joke. A cave goat was cold-blooded. Listen to the Freaky Fauna Friday to learn more about it. The worst animal ever had a beak, cold-blooded,
Yeah,
a man's face, and
2
it was
or 3 weeks from now. 3 weeks
2 from this.
2 from
when
this
film-
Friday, yeah.
2 Fridays from now.
as of recording.
So, and then the pistol shrimp. So the pistol shrimp and mantis shrimp is what I point out to. They had to rewrite the laws of physics for the mantis shrimp.
That's quite
I
the.
did not know that.
Because forever they said, and this is the funniest thing. That's why I love hate about biology. And we have plenty of biologists, high-level biologists that listen. And we've talked to these guys and
The
gals.
science.
But no, about this, that some scientists pretend like, so when I say the mantis shrimp broke the laws of physics,
Right.
now it doesn't, because they rewrote the laws to make sure it fit. It punched so hard it created an implosion, not an explosion. Even though by the time the cameras were recording it, it was exploding, it was expanding.
Yeah.
But it caused an implosion first. Mm-hmm. And with the tiniest distance, they did this for about 4 years after they discovered this, and then they rewrote the laws of physics, and now everybody's like, no, they fit in the laws of physics.
Right, yeah.
And to me, I'm like, no, they didn't.
They do that all the time,
You
yeah.
did that.
Yeah, they do
You
that.
made it.
You just move the goalposts.
That's what I'm saying.
To fit the narrative.
And pistol shrimp are another one where they shoot a superheated jet of water out of one claw to cook their prey alive from a distance.
It's pretty awesome.
That's a real animal.
Yeah.
Stargazer fish stare at prey until electricity shoots out of pores next to their eyes and kills the prey. And then they go and scoop it. I'm just saying
I want that power.
these are animals that are fully documented that break the laws of conventional biology, let alone these things that are maybe one step past it.
Right, yeah.
But
So why can't Bigfoot do that?
Yeah, 2 decades ago, these animals didn't make sense.
What's that start? Oh, all the ones you just named. Yes, yes, absolutely.
2 decades ago. Mm-hmm. But we knew about them 2 centuries ago.
Ah, never mind. I'm gonna keep
So
my
what
mouth shut.
No, what?
I was just gonna say a dumb joke about a certain doctor that probably knew the answer.
Yeah, you've
The
been on
whole time.
Fauci all day.
I have been.
It's another show.
We've recorded 16 hours of podcast today.
Yeah.
Oh.
Fauci probably knows that those shrimp did that. He just didn't want to tell you yet.
Man, we used them for riot guns.
Yeah.
No, Fauci's probably tracking all your clones down. You know that, right?
Oh yeah. He's
Yeah,
got.
no, they haven't been returning to the coop at night.
He
and it's
showed
been
me.
scary.
He showed me pictures where sand flies. What was that? Is that what they're called? Sand fleas. So
sand fleas.
ate my
Sand
head.
fleas.
But he had to snip my vocal cords first, so I wouldn't cry.
Oh man. But no,
Yeah,
it's
another show.
another show. Matthew gets the picture. No, it's great. But yeah, I don't know how we tangents. I never
I know how we
know
got
to get
here.
back.
Yeah.
No military bases. I think it's right. I think Matthew's right that it's more like that the limited number of people that access these areas until these guys like Matthew go out into these quote unquote wild spaces
And start-
for extended period of time
and start leaving whoppers in their house.
poking the hornet's nest after these things
Yeah.
establish. I looked.
It isn't like a Whopper.
Well,
It's
and
not too far away from Area X either.
he probably knows like processed food.
No thank you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, I don't. Yeah. Well, the thing about it is, it's where. Yeah, I don't blame Bigfoot for not eating the Whopper, but I'm just saying it's. Yeah, I think that night right there was. I think for 2 nights, I think that Sergeant M had something happening with him that night.
Yep.
His night.
Sure.
And then with us for that night.
Same thing.
And then whatever was there moved on.
I know I went to the bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
I think you said this, but it's like Kenny, right?
No, we didn't talk about that.
A farmer.
Oh, I did actually. Yes.
Oh, we did.
Yes, I did talk about it.
It
I just didn't say his name.
I didn't say his last name.
No, you're right.
But a person coming up to us about Bigfoot.
Yes.
But it wasn't Bigfoot. It was an 8-foot tall
man in his corn running is
a
faster.
black guy. He was very adamant
Yes.
because he was dark skin color.
True. Yes. Faster than any human he's ever seen run in his
Yeah,
life.
8 foot tall because the corn was 7 foot tall, and he had his head and shoulders above the corn.
Right.
I don't even. How tall is Shaq? Like 6'10"?
He's probably 7 foot.
7 foot,
Yeah.
7'1", somewhere in there.
I think so.
I think so.
A head taller.
Right.
Than Shaq.
And faster than Usain Bolt. And
Yeah.
yeah, we got those guys around here.
Yeah. I mean, apparently a guy
Yeah, one of them. I'm sure he lives
lives in the corn.
He just lives out in the corn.
Well, what's funny, like today at work, we ended up by accident south of England, and I've been training this guy up, and he's a great kid. He's actually fascinated with what I'm fascinated with the shows and everything. And he knew I was coming on tonight. I had to talk to you guys, and we ended up south of England, Arkansas. And I had heard
like
already
England.
a couple of reports of some hunters down there of either missing deer or seeing something. They just try to write it off.
Mm-hmm.
And so my theory down here on the south is some of this stuff, but I'll get to that in just a second. But while we were driving through there, and I was looking at the fields and the woods, and I went, yeah, I could see, Squatchy living down here somewhere and hiding out. So I have a theory on the reason why the southern Bigfoot are more aggressive than the northern and western ones are.
Because they get too hot and there's mosquitoes.
Well, besides that, so what it is, it's not competition for hunting and fishing areas, because down here everybody goes and does it. There's not one hunter, not one deer hunter down here in Arkansas. If you ask them, have you ever shot a deer, jumped into the woods, you waited, followed the blood trail, no deer. Every hunter will tell you that.
It's happened.
I think they know where the deer stands are at. They know where they're putting the corn out at. They know when they're trying to lure the deer in, and they're an opportunist eater.
Sure.
Oh yeah.
100%.
Especially
And I think that's the reason why the hunters have all the encounters down here, is because in the same area, and Bigfoot's waiting for that deer to jump.
Ah.
I mean, this is a Patreon episode, but the siege of Honobia
Yeah.
is one of the BFRO's most famous investigations, right when they got started, the infancy of the BFRO. And that was literally, the whole thing was about that. And them,
Really?
100%, this whole family is accidentally gifting Bigfoot deer. Because remember, they'd say that they would always get to these deer like before, and even when they brought them home, they would get in the freezers and get them because the freezers were out in the barn.
Right. Yeah.
And so when it came down to a battle, a siege, the Bigfoot may not have understood that they were transgressing, even though the people were absolutely terrified because the feeding had stopped with the deer, with the hunting practices that they were doing.
Yeah.
The feeding had stopped, and the Bigfoot were like, well, where's the meal?
Yeah.
And that's people, animals, doesn't matter. Like, once the food train stops, that's when aggression goes up. But that, I do believe that. I can see it in the South, but it happens here in the North, too, with these carcass stealing.
Yeah, I see the carcass stealing, but what you said right there, too, though, with the feeding and the gifting, there's so many reports of people who've gifted. Or, what if, okay, so you buy a cabin out in the woods and you live out there. Let's say the people before you were gifting, and now you get a pissed off Bigfoot at your house.
Yeah.
He's like, where's my apples at?
Right.
So I think a lot of that has to do, and I think that Bigfoot is, a lot of people don't give Bigfoot his credit for being as intelligent as it is. And I think is probably more intelligent than we could possibly comprehend. And
Absolutely.
the survival skills that it has in its DNA is, there's no other creature on the planet, I think, like it.
Correct. I believe that too. I think even the best human that can do it probably can't even hold a candle to a Bigfoot.
For survival?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yep.
I'll agree with that. I think they're different, right?
Absolutely.
When we talk about that, we talked about Bigfoot intelligence. I don't know, Patreon, main shot. I have no idea any of it more at this point. But intelligent levels, they definitely are intelligent. And we've talked multitudes of times about that there's probably 3 different things being thrown in the Bigfoot category.
Right. At
so
least,
it really matters what you're
dealing with.
talking about inside of that.
Right, yeah.
Versus flesh and blood, the fog monsters kind of deal. I don't know. Getting tired?
So what if the flesh and blood Bigfoots are different from the interdimensional Bigfoots?
They may be. A couple of our buddies think that may be the older versions of the same thing. That they get those abilities the longer they live, kind of deal.
Right.
I don't know. I really don't know. As far as us as researchers and encounter receivers, we can about put everything in about 3 categories.
Yeah, probably. Just about.
The full flesh and blood Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Yep.
The interdimensional but still physical. And the
Yep.
corporeal Bigfoot. Or the non-corporeal Bigfoot.
The full-on.
Like the Fae kind of Bigfoot,
Yeah.
still, And the only one I can really, if I had to draw a hard line, which it doesn't matter because it could change in 2 weeks after we hear some more accounts,
Right.
is the Fae between the other. The Fae Bigfoot. These, in my opinion, these are your thin Bigfoots. These are the tall guys. These are the or the red-eyed ones that walk off cliffs. The cartoony Bigfoots. Because,
The one seen with the orbs.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, fully. Because I think that they are
Yep.
Fae that are trying, maybe not being good, bad, indifferent. I have no idea. They're the Fae.
I think the Fae are neutral. They don't care either way.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that statement. But when you're out in the woods, Bigfoot's on a lot of hikers' minds, whether they admit it or not. They don't have to be Bigfoot people, but bears, Bigfoot, moose, whatever. So they keep, if they want to interact with you, they're going to pick a face. They can interact with you. And these multitude of cultures across the planet have agreed these Fae-like entities do this. They're shapeshifters, tricksters, whatever you want to call them. So I think that's where these Bigfoot, like Tom Shea's, what I always use on the show. We don't know him really well, but know Tom from down in Kentucky. He has 99% of his stuff's physical Bigfoot. He talks about it every year. It's physical Bigfoot, except just a handful. So yeah, Tom Shea, talking about a handful of just the paranormal Bigfoot, because 99% of his stuff is the physical Sasquatch.
Right.
But the 2 ones that stick out is, if you go to a conference with Tom, I highly suggest you ask him about these things. Because hearing him talk about, he's a good old boy, real simple, and I enjoy it because he has a really unique speaking style when he speaks at conferences. It's real flat. Like, I'm not a speaker. Here's my 10-minute presentation. I've got tons of evidence. Ask me questions, kind of deal. You know? And I enjoy that because it gives the audience a lot of time to get
interact
through stuff.
and
So
Yeah.
the ones I know that he's had are the red eye Bigfoots. He had the one time he was falling. He's only seen red eyes I think 2 or 3 times. Keep in mind, Tom goes out every day pretty much for the last 25 years. So he's had red eyes like 3 or 4 times.
Very rare.
In several decades.
Yeah.
And the one time he followed him off a cliff, or not, he didn't follow him off a cliff, but he watched them go where he knew there was a cliff, like a cartoon. And he's like, they just the eyes kept bouncing like they were walking. But he's like, I know for a fact that's a 90-foot drop off.
And it walked right over
it. And it was walking and then waited for him to follow it.
Yeah.
Very Fae-esque stuff.
Yeah, luring.
And he's seen orbs.
Yeah, I would say that's the Fae.
Yeah, and he's seen orbs one time. But keep in mind, both of those encounters where the normal physical Sasquatch activity, he would say, was happening at the same time. And we've said, we've talked about that a lot, that whether they're directly or indirectly connected, they are observed in similar times. Whether Bigfoot and the Fae are buddies, or Bigfoot and the Fae prefer the similar habitats, or if you got a good spot for Bigfoot, you probably got a good spot for Fae kind of deal at this point.
What's it called when two animals live
coexistence?
Co-inhabit it.
Keystone species.
Well,
we go.
I think part of that comes into play too, though, is with the Native American legends of Bigfoot being the protector of the woods, and you know what I mean,
right? Yeah. But is that Bigfoot or
the Bigfoot? And so I think the Fae tie into that because obviously both species are obviously here,
right?
But I think the Fae are probably a little bit more mischievous, and they probably utilize Bigfoot more to their advantage versus Bigfoot using the Fae.
Yep, using the Bigfoot rather than the Bigfoot using them.
I would tend to agree with that.
Yeah, I would too.
Oh yeah,
but yeah, this has been a fun one.
So before we go, please tell everybody where they can find your shows again.
Yep.
Tell everybody.
Okay.
I'll have the links below, and you're right in that transition period of adding more listening platforms. So as you add them, send them to me, and I'll keep updating this.
All right, I can do that. So my website is drunkencryptids.com. YouTube is Drunken Cryptids. TikTok is Drunken Cryptids. And Facebook is Drunken Cryptids.
All right.
Nice and easy.
And my email is drunkencryptids@gmail.com. It's all Drunken Cryptids.
Nice and neat.
So, Matthew, you know how we like to end this.
I sure do.
So we're going to count down from 3.
Let's do it.
Scream into the microphones. The outro will play. Ready?
Yep.
3.
Ready.
2, 1.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey guys, thank you for listening to Cryptids the Corn podcast. Remember, the best way to support the show is share it with a friend. But if you are craving more of the J clones
and more from Mr. E,
there's always extra content on Patreon
and our paid member space on cryptidsofthecorn.com.
We'll catch you next time with more exciting, fun, and informative information. Bye.